Tonight on Prime Business, government of Ghana will be receiving additional $64 million from the Swiss government and the Climate Investment Fund under the African Development Bank to support the Sustainable Renewable Energy Project.
It directly supports Ghana's efforts in building resilience to socioeconomic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic by providing electricity to health care centers in the island communities.
Also, benzo oil palm plantation hints of plans to expand after 40 years of working on the same piece of land. Plus, Association of Oil Marketing Companies Ghana says demand for petroleum products has not been affected regardless of the hikes in the prices of the commodity.
Use fuel as is necessary. You don't use fuel unnecessarily, because where we find ourselves in Africa, we have to depend on the world market. Demand is not falling. Demand has always been increasing since 2005. It continues to increase.
I am Beverly Broohm. Please stay for details. Let's settle for the details now. The government of Ghana will be receiving additional $64 million from the Swiss government and the Climate Investment Fund under the African Development Bank to support the Sustainable Renewable Energy Project. The project, which seeks to produce clean energy through the installation of solar equipment for the national grid, is expected to increase the country's electricity access. Minister for Finance Ken Oforiatta stated after a short ceremony that the deal couldn't have come at a better time.
So the April 2022 report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, not only documented the rapid acceleration of global warming, but also heightened the call for government to take drastic action towards reaching the net zero emissions by 2050, ensuring resources are directed towards climate resilient infrastructure, and advancing progress on the utilization of clean energy. With that in mind, the broader scaling up renewable energy program, SREP, dovetails into an urgent global agenda and demonstrates our country's commitment to enhance the economic and social viability of low carbon investments, to create new energy efficient markets, and stave off a future energy crisis by achieving energy efficiency. In respect of that, therefore, is also the need for us to meet our own targets. So let me really commend the sustained interest and commitment of OAFDB and the Climate Investment Fund, the Swiss government, our development partners, for their support in getting us this far. Clearly, going forward as a people, we will need to work with over 430 companies that signed up in COP26 in Glasgow to really look at ways in which we can facilitate their getting to their net zero. And that's the type of research we have to do to crowd in that type of resource to be able to meet our goals.
President of the African Development Bank Group, Akinwumi Adesini, says the project is expected to boost low-carbon socio-economic development in some rural communities as well as solving the energy needs of the country.
For Ghana and Africa at large, delivering sustainable development is dependent on meeting the country's energy needs in order to lift populations out of poverty, create employment, and stimulate socioeconomic development. This project will increase access to clean and reliable electricity services and support low-carbon socioeconomic development of Ghana. It directly supports Ghana's efforts in building resilience to socioeconomic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic by providing electricity to health care centers in the island communities, thus enabling refrigeration of vaccines that are so critical for life and testing facilities in these communities.
Away from that, take charge of your natural resources and pursue value addition if you want to move Africa beyond aid. That's the challenge Executive Director of the Policy Initiative for Economic Development, Dr. Daniel Amate Enim, is throwing to African leaders as they meet in Ghana for the annual African Development Bank Group's meeting. Dr. Enim was reacting to calls by the President Akufo-Addo at the opening of the conference for African countries to fight their own interest and develop an economic model. Speaking to Joy Business, Dr. Amate Enim said African governments should work towards ending dependence on external support to drive development.
Africa beyond aid is possible, but it demands that we do a lot of work. Number one, we need a very strong inter-Africa trade. Secondly, we need to mobilize our own resources and do a lot of investment with our own capital. And another thing, in my humble opinion, I think it will help is for the continent to be able to leverage on the resources that we have. That is by adding value to our resources rather than exporting them in a raw state. So we need that collective collaboration as a continent, as a bloc, to be able to achieve Africa beyond aid. We should be able to negotiate as a bloc, not as individual countries. And as a bloc, we should be able to employ professionals, technical people that will be able to push that agenda. And the last on the list is that strong political commitment to be able to drive the continent to a level where we could achieve Africa beyond aid.
Executive Director for the Africa Center for International Trade and Development, Isaac Hubert Arthur, is urging the African Development Bank to step up support for development projects on the continent.
Expect that an institution like the AFDB will actually be an African, of course we know it's an African institution, but we expect that they will begin to really focus on Africa and then fund projects that will bring about our transformation. Not funding projects that really do not do not contribute to solving the current problem that we have. We have problems in Africa, even considering trade. Why are we allowing these same Bretton Woods institutions to be funding even country strategies for implementation of the AFCFTA? It's you can't just understand. So we need the African institutions like the AFDB, like the Afrexim banks, to really show up, take up the initiative to fund most of the development projects that we have. We need them. There are so many of them. Countries are struggling, developing even export strategies, AFCFTA strategies, industrialization strategies, and when those strategies have been developed, they need to be implemented.
The Association of Oil Marketing Companies Ghana says demand for petroleum products has not been affected regardless of the hikes in prices of the commodity. According to its chief executive, Kweku Agyemangua, members of the association have rather invested more to satisfy their customers. He spoke to a cross-section of the media at the 5th Safety Week celebration of the association under the theme, Petroleum Accident Brings Tears, Safety Brings Cheers. There's more.
This year's event is attracting stakeholders in the petroleum industry. The Safety Week celebration is targeted at achieving accident-free pumps. Chief Executive of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies Ghana, Kweku Ajumandia, says little can be done by the association on the hikes in the prices of fuel products.
The diesel, because they said it was too expensive. Because you buy, and when they said diesel close to 11 cities, they couldn't buy the diesel. If I had to even talk about some of them, to talk to them, employ them for them to buy it, they didn't want to buy it because it's a colossal sum. Imagine you used to buy diesel with 1 million liters with small money. Now you need big money to buy that amount of liters. It becomes very expensive. So now it's for you to manage. So you have got a cluster of 6 stations. You need to put where you want to put the diesel there so that people will go and buy until we get out of the woods. It's not a simple matter. I tell you now, it's not easy selling fuel out there, because you cannot go to the bank every day. Otherwise, for the sake of your customers, you could try to satisfy them, but you collapse. Demand is not falling. Demand has always been increasing since 2005. It continues to increase. But it's for us to manage the demand and see how we can satisfy it.
On recent reports of an imminent shortage of fuel, Mr. Ajumandia reiterated there is enough fuel irrespective of the challenges.
It's not, nobody likes that. Even if you as an individual and price continue, we wake up one morning and price is going up, we don't like it. Let alone an organization like us. We don't like it. But there's little that we can do to influence. We only have to manage the outcome. Okay? Manage the outcome is either we hedge or find some money and buy a lot and put it somewhere and try to use us when they come in. That's what we do. And also try to use fuel as is necessary. Don't use fuel unnecessarily, because where we find ourselves in Africa, we have to depend on the world market.
The Safety Week celebration will conscientize members of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies on health and safety measures, as well as prevail on them to reinforce positive behavior at workplaces to achieve safety. James Ishen's report for Joy Business.
Let's go to the Ashanti region now, because traders at the Kejetia market in Kumasi owe the Electricity Company of Ghana over 5 million cedis after defaulting payment of bills for 13 months. The traders say sharing of the bills has been problematic due to the absence of the separate meters for their stalls. Chairman for the Federation of Kumasi Traders, Nana Akwesi Prempe, says they have had to cut electrical appliances off over 7,000 stores monthly before sharing bills. Love FM's Mona Lisa Frimpong has more in the following report.
The battle for separate meters at the Kejetia market started 2 years ago, but traders are yet to see an end to this. The traders pay on average 450,000 Ghana cedis as monthly electricity bills. This, they say, has worsened the cost of doing business at the new facility. For 13 months now, traders have defaulted in payment of bills. Eric Nana Akwesi Prempe is the chairman for the Federation of Kumasi Traders.
And when it comes to the sharing of the bills, we have about 7,000 lockable shops. So my brother, at a commercial area, you cannot share a light bill on a flat rate, because there are some shops that are using just one bulb. There are other shops that are even using electricity power to cook food.
Traders say management of the facility have not been proactive to their plight despite several meetings with them. Nana Akwesi Prempe says the ECG and the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority have all agreed on the installation of separate meters, but they cannot understand the delay in implementation.
For almost 2 years now, we've written to the management, we've written to the board, we've held several meetings with the management. All that they tell us that they need clearance from the board. Meanwhile, from the traders' angle, we've seek advice from the Electricity Company of Ghana. They've advised us that indeed it will be reasonable for each shop owner to get his or her separate meter. We've seek advice from the PURC.
The traders say they have mounted a series of actions against management of the facility if after a month nothing is done about their challenges.
We've given ourselves 1 month, and after 1 month, we have decided that we will advise ourselves. We have planned a series of activities that we've decided to embark on. Some may be petitions to some strategic agencies, even to the Jubilee House, to Mensah Palace. But when it comes to paying the bills, we the traders know nobody is going to pay the outstanding bills for us. We are prepared to pay at a time when our individual meters are ready.
Meanwhile, management of the Kumasi City Markets Limited say they are in talks with metering companies for the installation. Awuku Malik's report read to you.
Away from that, the General Manager and Executive Director of the Benso Oil Palm Plantation, Engineer Samuel Avala, has hinted that Ghana and Africa's leading oil plantation agribusiness is now ready to expand after 40 years of working on the same piece of land. Speaking at their annual general meeting in Takoradi, he said the company had plans for expansion since the regulatory environment was set with the help of the Tree Crops Development Authority. There's more in the following report.
Engineer Avala said the company is more than poised to take advantage of the policy environment that has been created to embark on an expansion. The managing director says, with a clear signal from the authority, another critical milestone would be the win-win engagement with landowners, the assemblies, and traditional authorities to accelerate the expansion drive. He says the expansion project would also consider environmental impacts and assessments.
We are more than poised to take advantage of that environment, the policy environment that this has created, to embark on an expansion. And it is our strategy to expand our current production in twofold within the next 5 years. And to do that, we need a lot of the mandate of the Tree Crop Development Authority to come into fruition, to become practical. We also need our chiefs and traditional rulers and authorities and district assemblies to be aligned so that we can co-create the business environment, the plantation agriculture and manufacturing, and that gives people, that reduces poverty among the rural communities and also increases wealth, and in the end the economy benefits, because we would then be able to bridge the gap between our demand and supply, which at the moment is in the negative, and for which reason Ghana is a net importer of palm oil.
Bob is concerned with growing oil palm and processing palm fruit into crude palm oil, the key ingredients used in the downstream refinery and manufacturing of cooking oil and other products for domestic consumption. Chairman of the Board of Directors, Dr. Ishmael Yamson, during the annual general meeting with stakeholders, said despite the coronavirus pandemic, the dedication and prudence measures adopted by the company gave them the stellar performance in 2021.
The results are very good, really outstanding. And as I said, there are three factors. The first of all, the production has increased by almost 10% from the same acreage of land. So to get 10% more is an outstanding performance. But global commodity prices will continue to rise, as we can all see. Food prices are rising as never before. But what is going to be critical is production efficiencies and productivity gains on the plantation. This is what is going to ensure that whether prices are high or low, the plantation will remain viable. The viability of a plantation does not depend on world market price going high. Even if world market prices drop, you have to have an operational framework which makes it possible for you to make profit, stay viable, and deliver value to your shareholders, even in difficult times.
Bob has become the model of best management practice in the oil palm plantation industry in Africa. With the recent FT ranking of the 75 fastest growing companies in Africa, Bob PLC was one of the 4 companies that made it into the list from Ghana.
Ghana Enterprises Agency says its apprenticeship to entrepreneurship program will reduce unemployment and increase financial inclusion among the youth. The program, which aims to train over 88,000 persons, comes under a partnership between GEA and MasterCard Foundation, which will train close to 39,000 people. Chief Executive Officer of GEA, Kosi Yankee Aye, disclosed this at a graduation ceremony for 110 persons under the A2E program in Tema. Our correspondent Kwame Yanka reports.
The 110 graduates were trained in dressmaking, hairdressing, welding, among other areas under the Apprenticeship to Entrepreneurship Program, A2E. This number, according to Ghana Enterprises Agency, adds to about 10,000 youth who have been trained under A2E. 3,000 startup kits are expected to be given out to beneficiaries across the country this quarter, as same was given out last year. Chief Executive Officer of GEA, Kosi Yankee Aye, says the partnership with MasterCard Foundation will help create employment.
So one of the things that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has stated clearly is the importance of youth employment and creating opportunities for the youth. And so this intervention of the GEA MasterCard Foundation partnership was to ensure that we create opportunities and pathway for employment for the youth of Ghana. So based on that, we've been training these men and women across the nation, and today they've graduated. And what we've decided to do is not to leave them there, but this is an opportunity for us to give them the tools and as startup kits for them to go and actually implement what they've learned. Because the goal of job creation doesn't end with only the knowledge. It also comes with a push, with the knowledge of understanding of how to run your business and keep the business going.
A beneficiary, Stella Mankwabo Afua, who is also a teacher, is happy to have obtained new skills.
When you have a handicraft, it helps the society, it helps your family. You sew for the close people around you. So the society will get the benefit of it, and then the nation as a whole. Even if your certificate doesn't work, your hands will work. Actually, we applied in 2020 during the COVID era, and then it was an online something. I didn't know anyone. It wasn't a protocol. So we got called, and then we came and got through the necessary procedures, and then here we are. It's been 2 years. We've waited. We've been through a lot of hassle. We didn't know it would even come to pass, but here we are today. We are so happy. We thank the government, and then we thank GEA for giving us the opportunity. I'll still further my education, but I'll alongside work with my hands.
Meanwhile, Tema Metropolitan Chief Executive Yohani Amashite touched on how such policies will help address unemployment issues in the metropolis.
Of course, because this is Tema, and due to urbanization and all that, we have a lot of people coming to Tema to work here, to settle down here as well. So we have quite a huge number among the youth here. And normally the problem with the youth is how to start from somewhere. So what we are doing as a government is to be able to cross the first barrier of how to start. That is why we allow them to apply, and everybody applied, irrespective of your political affiliation, irrespective of where you come back from, they all applied. And then 110 of them were chosen. They were taken through apprenticeship. We got them trainers. And now today they've graduated. And then if you watch here, you can see a showcase of some of the products they've changed. And then we didn't just end there. We also gave them startup kits so that when they go back, then they could continue and be entrepreneurs as we move on.
Representative from Ministry of Trade and Industry, trainers, parents, among other stakeholders, were in attendance.
Industry players in the educational sector are being urged to be industry-focused in their respective curriculum, with Ghana's unemployment bubble exposing the deficit between academia and industry. The Education Minister says players must devise innovative academic modules to meet demands of the work environment. He spoke at the grand opening of a state-of-the-art teaching and learning facility at Lincoln Community School. Here's more.
So for education, Dr. Yao Oduchum has charged stakeholders in the education ecosystem to prioritize linking education to academia in all innovative interventions. Speaking at the grand opening of the state-of-the-art teaching and learning facility at the Lincoln Community School, the minister says even though government is tackling unemployment with innovative programs such as the Plenty for Food and Jobs initiative, schools will have to explore local content streams of creating sustainable jobs.
So I come to Lincoln to make a special request. That special request is that learn, lead, connect. I want your students to lead outside of the walls of this school. I know you may be doing some already, but adopt a school and support a school in a deprived community. And you know, American universities are not just looking for intellectual nerds, people who are so smart, they are looking for leaders. Many students get scholarship because of the work that they have done in a community, because they went to a local school and read to a student and they adopted a school and built a school from scratch. Your students can do that.
Never really just about the bricks and mortar, although I would have to say the shape and design of this one is particularly impressive. It is, however, about what goes on inside the spaces. The sounds of children talking together, the sight of teachers working collaboratively, the sense of awe and wonder as learning happens.
Speaking to Joy Business, the board president of Lincoln Community School, Olusola Ogondimu, says the school's model continues to inspire industry-based academia across the country.
Their learning cuts across the globe, and I hear children talking about politics and what's going on in other countries. They're doing a lot of presentations, and they actually work with local schools. There's a volunteer program here where they work with other schools. So the children are just trained to know that there's more outside the walls of Lincoln.
The $13 million state-of-the-art new building was intentionally designed to provide learning spaces that best represent the school's belief about high-quality education in the country. Planning is currently underway for the commencement of the second phase of redevelopment, which will include middle and high school classrooms.
That's how we end business here, but you can head on to our website, myjoyonline.com, for more business stories. I leave you with business news making headlines on the international front.